Today I'm bringing my butterfly garden to life using my gouache, and I'll show you exactly how to do it. Here's my butterfly garden that I planted and that we will be painting today. Today, in this video, we're going to learn how to paint a butterfly garden. I planted my own butterfly garden last week, and now I've started, this is a work in progress, to make a painting of it using gouache, specifically my Holbein gouache, which I love. My husband got it for me as a gift. So anyhow, I am going to break down 3 essential tips that completely changed how I approach making a painting and teach you how to do this step by step. To get started, let's head over to my studio. See you there. Hi there, we're in my studio now, so let's go ahead and get started on the butterfly garden painting. Here I'm prepping my paints and getting everything ready on my palette. The very first thing I like to think about when making a painting like this is getting my sketch down. I'm not going to sketch out every detail because I'm using gouache. If I do that, it's likely to show through the paint. And I'm going to erase most of the major marks anyways, that way I can paint easily without distractions. I'll sketch just enough to get my placement down. So here I'm erasing some of my major marks, that way it doesn't show through the gouache. Here I'm starting to mix color up for my plant stems and leaves. I always want to make sure I mix all of the colors instead of painting straight from the tube. I'm adding just one plant detail first for the stems of the flower, just so I can get an idea of where I am going to put it, and I can add maybe shadows around it and other things. When it comes to painting a busy, vibrant scene like a butterfly garden, the biggest trap is trying to paint every single leaf and flower all at once. It becomes overwhelming quickly. So tip number 1 is to start by blocking in your large abstract shapes. Here I'm getting some of the shadows that are cast from where the fence is onto the grass right next to the garden bed. And also some of the grass in the background. I want to set up my background, that way I can see my foreground more easily. Here I'm starting to add some of the shadows that are cast from the fence and the flowers. I know we don't see the flowers yet, but I need to lay this base shadow down first before adding my beautiful flowers on the top layers of the painting. Now I'm starting to add the stems and the leaves of the flowers. That way I can start to map out where I'm going to put everything and see it more easily. I'll also add some of the flowers as I go. That way I can see more colors and the composition starts to come to life. There will be now color harmony. So tip number 2 is to have the color harmony. I'm working around my painting, that way everything starts to come to life and it's easier to see. The faster you get rid of all the white space, the better it's going to be for you. And as you can see here, I'm adding more shadows because there can be no light without the dark. You must have your contrast. So you want to make sure you're not painting from the tube. I mix all of my colors always. I'm using Holbein gouache. This is the permanent yellow and the turquoise blue. And then I go ahead and use some primary cyan and a little bit of Naples yellow. And there we go. I'm going to go ahead ahead and add the rest of my stems and leaves for my flowers. That way I have everything mapped out where I want it to be. Of the stems and the leaves for my flowers set, I'm going to add the rest of the shadows that are cast by the plants and the fence into my garden. This will allow me to see everything more clearly. I like to sketch intermittently when I make a gouache painting. That way I'm not focusing on only one area of the work. This helps keep the momentum going, so I keep working around my artwork. Now I'm working on sketching in the fence a bit more in the background. This will help me get some of the details in, that way I can see easier when I paint the background and it's not so messy. Now I'm going to mix a light yellow color for my daisies. I'm using white, and also I'm going to use some Naples yellow. And there you go. I'll start to put some of the flower details in now. Keeping with the color harmony and moving around the painting, keeping everything in motion. Now I'm starting to paint the background in a little bit more. As you can see, the colors are a little bit more muted and faded. So to achieve atmospheric perspective and depth, you're going to want your background colors to be more faded and muted, and your colors in the foreground more vibrant and bright and saturated. Now I'm starting to paint the fence. I put a darker layer first, and now that I'm putting the highlight on, I can see that this fence is too dark, so I'm going to make it lighter. Now I'm adding a little bit of shadow on the grass and starting to paint in the border stones. Finally, tip number 3 is saving your high contrast and sharpest details for last. Now I'm going to add in highlights and shadows and details on the fence and the flowers, as well as adding the mulch, details in the grass, and finally, a butterfly. butterfly, I started with a simple sketch, and then I'm going to paint in a base layer to fill it in, as you can see here, and then now I'll start adding the finer details. garden painting. I love how the vibrant colors came together, and how breaking it down into the background, color harmony, and sharp focal details made a complex scene so much easier to handle. I want to know from you, what is your favorite thing to paint when looking for inspiration? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you for joining me for my very first video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next studio session.